body bags where horror lies.
Who is this irresistible creature who has an insatiable love for the dead?
Hey guys, happy Thursday, this is your Fright Chick speaking. Okay, so this week I am carrying on with my Hellraiser theme and I am doing Hellraiser Bloodlines. Christ, the glare is terrible. Sorry, I have a shit camera. Okay, so this is the best one in my opinion. I really do think this is the best one. I know some people don't like it, but fair enough. So this was the last one that got shown in cinemas. The rest were all direct to DVD after that, quite rightly so. But this is the most interesting one, I think, because it follows 3 generations of the same bloodline. The same guy plays all 3 males that we follow from that bloodline. It starts off in 1796 with Philippe Le Marchand, who is basically the guy that created the lament configuration, or for those of you that aren't aware, the bloody box that comes from Hellraiser. So he's the one that made it. He was a toy maker and he was commissioned by an aristocrat, a really rich French aristocrat, to make the toy, which he didn't realise was nothing. He thought it was just a toy, but when he gave it to him, it was actually the portal to hell, which this guy intended it to be. He has an assistant called Jacques, and they kidnap, or they kind of lure a prostitute in, so they can use her as a sacrifice and open the portal to hell and use her blood to kind of, make it all work, which they actually do. So they do this, and I think Philippe at this point has realised what the box is for, or he gets told. I'm not exactly sure, I can't quite remember. But obviously he's horrified by what he's made. And when they sacrifice this woman, her skin is then worn by a princess of hell called Angelique. I'm not sure if it's Princess Angelique or the prostitute is called Angelique, but her name is fucking Angelique, okay? So she kind of becomes their slave. Because they called her, she then has to be their sort of slave, unless they get in hell's way and do something that pisses hell off, and then she can do what she likes, okay? So Jacques and the Duke, they call her and having sort of, sitting there eating grapes and stuff like that and talking about the fact that, it's all hell and things like that. Jacques actually kind of does a bit of a coup, and him and Angelique take out the Duke because they don't need him, and he kind of enslaves her to himself. But Philippe at this point is, like I said, completely horrified. He decides to quickly work up some blueprints on a kind of anti-lament configuration called the Elysium configuration, so that he can undo the bad things that he's done. So he goes back to the house of the Duke, and he decides at night he's going to go and take the box back, but he tries to, and he manages to get himself killed in the process. His wife and unborn child at this time are, they find him and they're horrified, and he basically says, get away, you have to live, blah, blah, blah. And then we jump to 1996. This came out in 96, so obviously this is our present day, people. We jump to 96 and we have, what is it? I can never remember the order that the merchants go in. We have John Merchant now. He is obviously the 1996 bloodline, and he's pretty much doing the same thing. Running on from Hellraiser 3, at the very end of Hellraiser 3, we had Joey Summerskill put the lament configuration into a load of concrete of a building that was going to be made. So the box itself is now in this building, and like I said, at the end, it was very much a homage to what they were going to do, because it's the same building used that we saw, with all the puzzle box size in the rooms, the whole artwork, everything is the puzzle box. This is John Merchant's place of business. He's like an architect or something. He has had the blueprints in his family for obviously a couple hundred years now, and he's pretty much trying to do the exact same thing that the toy maker was trying to do. He doesn't know why, and he doesn't know exactly what it's for at all. He just knows that he has to make it work, and it's all to do with bringing perpetual light. So in the box we'll have light forever, and that is what's going to close all the gateways to hell. So that's kind of the threat to Pinhead in this. Angelique and Jacques are obviously still around, and pretty early on she takes Jacques out because she says, well, I've seen this article of John Merchant, and he is the descendant of the toy maker, and he could be a threat to us. I'm going to go to America and I'm going to go and confront him on it. He's like, no you're not, you're my slave, bitch, and all this kind of crap. So she's like, what did I tell you, never stand in hell's way. It's like the #1 fucking rule of hell or something. So she takes him out pretty quickly, and she goes to America so she can confront John Merchant. He has literally no idea what he's really doing, so we don't really, he's kind of faffing about a lot of the time. But you're kind of jumping back and forth between watching him go about his job and obviously try and make this thing work, and how he has dreams and things. He has kind of dream memories, you know. He kind of knows what's going on. He knows that there's something very important. And so when Angelique shows up, he doesn't know who she is, but he does realise that he may have met her before, and he has a bit of a thing going on. Angelique at this point, she tries to seduce him. She tries to sort of get him on side like that. It doesn't work. So she then decides that she's going to call Pinhead. She goes and gets some random guy in like the lobby, and she takes him down on the guise that she's going to sleep with him. She takes him down to the basement where the box is embedded in one of the pillars, in the concrete pillars. She breaks it out, and then she gets the guy to solve the puzzle so that Pinhead can come forth. And it's a brilliant moment because obviously, you know, you get that awesome moment whenever Pinhead shows up, chains come out of nowhere and take out this poor person in just this gruesome ways, and it's gross. But then he shows up, and he's always so fucking epic when he shows up. I love it. So of course he comes into the mix, and he's like, Princess Angelique. And she's been gone for a couple of 100 years from hell, so she's a bit like, things have changed. You're not what I left behind. So they're on two sides of the same coin, really. You know, he represents pain and suffering and the way hell should be ordered and run, and she represents a kind of old blood, you know, and seduction and temptation, basically. But they kind of decide they need to team up because they can't really kill John Merchant at this point, I don't think, because they need to make sure the threat is gone or something, but they don't take him out straight away. Angelique tries to do it her way with the seduction and stuff, but he's married, he's got a kid, and he's you know, resisting temptation. But then Pinhead gets involved, and he's like, this can't happen. We can't let the Elysium configuration come to fruition because he's pretty close to making it work. So there's kind of just a bit of a running about, and you know, when they're corridors, it's a little bit slow moving in the middle when all of this is happening, when we're in the 1996 timeline. But it does get kind of gruesome because you do get a few people get in the way. There's a really awesome moment with two guards, they're twins, and they're just doing their job, and it's so bad. And they come across Angelique and Pinhead talking, and he turns them into Cenobites, and it's probably one of the coolest set of Cenobites I've ever seen in my life. Just like, they're all twisted, and it's like a half of their face is attached to the other half of the other one's face, and it's all twisted around. It looks like when you pull gum apart, and it's really fucking gross, but they look so cool. They did such a good job with their makeup in this movie, they really did. I forgot to mention, or I could just say it now, at the very, very beginning of the movie, we have a little taster of the timeline from the future, which is set in, I believe it's like 2127. And we have Dr. Paul Merchant, who is obviously a descendant. He is also trying to create the Elysium configuration. So it's pretty fucking obvious from the get-go that John Merchant from 1996 does not succeed. Okay, he clearly doesn't succeed because we have another one from the future trying to do it. Okay, so that's not really a spoiler. But he, at the very beginning of the movie, like in the first 5 minutes, he's got the Lament configuration, and he's on a space station that he's created himself. So we're in space. Like I always say this, whenever they get to the 4th movie, they go to space. It's a weird thing. I don't know why it always happens. Critters did it, Leprechaun did it, they all do it. But he gets a robot to he locks himself in a room, and some guards are trying to get in there. You know, they want to kind of arrest him and find out what's happened to people. He's got a robot to solve the puzzle so that he can bring forth Pinhead, and then he's going to unleash his genius on them and try and take them down, which leads us into the 1796 timeline, which then leads us into the 1996 timeline. So a good portion of the movie is 1996, because obviously that's where it's set, so you know. But yeah, so we're most of the way through the movie. That's what's happened, and John Merchant discovers what he has to do, discovers who they are, all that kind of stuff, and they basically just go, fuck it, we're going to kill him. So they try to take him out, they try to kill his wife, they try to kill his child, and there's just a lot of running about and all this kind of stuff, and they do eventually manage to kill him, and his wife, I believe, is the one that sends them back this time before they can take out the rest of the bloodline. He has a son, so we know it's going to continue, and then we get to the end where the 2127 timeline is going on in the future, where Dr. Paul Merchant has finally figured out how to do it, and I will tell you the ending because it's fucking awesome. So yes, we're on the space station. He has recounted the entire ancestry at this point. He's telling the story, so he told us the whole movie basically to these guards, these police guys, and then he creates a hologram, which is great. When Pinhead shows up, he creates a hologram to distract Pinhead and basically have a bit of a banter with him. But while he's doing that, he is actually in reality in an escape pod with one of the guys, because I'm pretty sure that most of the cops that show up on this space station get taken out by Pinhead, because you've got Angelique there as well and you've got the other Cenobites and they're just killing people. These two manage to escape in the escape pod, and he talks to him via a video feed when Pinhead realises that it's a hologram. I think he's like, what is this, or something, and it was really cool seeing Pinhead confused for the first time. And he's just like, the light demon, the light. And the entire space station is a huge, you know, it's a huge puzzle box, and he basically shoots himself out in the escape pod, and he makes the entire space station fold itself in and create the light and become the Elysium configuration and take Pinhead out. It's an awesome moment. I don't know what Doug Bradley, he must have been wearing some sort of contact or something, because the light that was shown on him was insane. There's no way he wouldn't have been blinded by it. It was ridiculous. But yeah, so he finally manages, this guy hundreds of years in the future from when they made the Lemire configuration, finally manages to complete the blueprints and take out Pinhead. But of course he doesn't really, because there's like 5 or 6 more movies. So it doesn't last for too much, you know, it doesn't last too long. But it doesn't matter, it's a brilliant movie. I think it made like 4 times what they spent on it. I'm pretty sure it was like 4 million or something, and they made like 16 million. I know some people hate on it, and it had a lot of problems in production, but it really is one of the most interesting ones, because we're not just following the one character. Yeah, it's played by the same guy, but we follow a bunch of timelines, and you know, it's great when you see the sort of characters pop up in different periods of time. It's really interesting to me. So yeah, give it a watch. I'm sorry, I never know what to do anymore. I never know if I should say the entire thing, but this is a review, so I should. Fuck it. Nostalgia Critic does it. I'm just going to blame him. Okay, I will see you guys on Saturday, because I'm still covering Dave because he's still in France. So, bye.